Howdy, friends. So now we're developing some of the ideas on Strawson that we saw in the last video. So in the last video, we saw that Strawson hammers on two major commonplaces. One, we really care about people's intentions. And two, we care about people's intentions differently, right? People who are closer to us, we care more about what they think about us. People who are more distant to us, right, strangers to us, we aren't as concerned with what they think about us, right? So what he says is, reflecting on this, he says, look, we can discern two different kinds of perspectives folks can adopt towards others' actions. We can adopt an objective position, an objective perspective, or a participant perspective. What's the difference? So consider, to get a feel on the objective, consider for a moment when like a little kid does something and causes you harm, right? So a little kid comes running up and like kicks you in the shin, right? I mean like little, like a toddler, right? Not like a 10-year-old, right? So when a toddler runs up and kicks you in the shin and you go, ah, that hurt, right? The toddler doesn't really know what they're doing, right? So you don't, right? You get mad, you get frustrated, but you aren't like resentful of the toddler, right? You might get angry, but you're not like, but your anger at the toddler is somewhat muted by the fact that the toddler doesn't really know what they're doing, right? Now, if your best friend were to come up and kick you in the shin out of nowhere and it hurt like a mother, hurt a lot, well, in that case, you would be resentful towards your friend, right? You'd be like, what the F was that about? What did I do to you? What the hell, right? So in that way, you're adopting a participant stance, a participant perspective. So we have then these two perspectives. One is an objective one, where we kind of like hold people off at a distance and say, well, they didn't really mean to do it. They don't really know what they're doing. And the other is a participant perspective, where we're like, you so-and-so, I can't believe you did this to me. And so Strawson groups the kinds of reactive attitudes we can have into these two categories: objective reactive attitudes and participant reactive attitudes. So in participant reactive attitudes, we are responding to others' intentions, to their intent, what they do to us, and what, not just what they do to us, but also their intentions in doing it, right? With objective reactive attitudes, we have a bit more of a clinical, kind of a cool stance, right? In the sense that we don't really think they know what they're doing, or they just, are too young, too immature to know what they're doing. They did it by accident. They thought they were doing one thing and they were actually doing another. So these are objective stances. So what does this mean for free will and determinism? Well, here's the thing. Suppose that determinism is true. Well, if determinism is true, then everything we do is caused, right? That we don't have any control over our actions. So if determinism is true, Strawson argues, we would have to adopt an objective attitude towards everybody, right? This is the main argument, right? The main point he's trying to get across. If determinism turns out to be true, then we would have to adopt an objective reactive attitude towards everybody. But, Strawson continues, we can't. Right? Participant attitudes are too thoroughly embedded in networks of human relationships. Right? So, he goes on to say, it doesn't matter for us whether or not determinism is true, right? If determinism is true, well, then we're going to still go on holding each other responsible, right? I'm still going to be mad when my friend kicks me in the shin and and calls me an asshole, right? Provided I don't deserve it. So even if determinism turns out to be true, that does nothing for our ordinary practices of holding people responsible and for adopting participant reactive attitudes, right? We simply can't give those up. They're too deeply embedded in the lived realities of social organisms like you and me.